Well, I was born in Cedarton. Cedarton is 10 mile out of here. If you'd have come from that way, you'd have come down a range. If you'd looked down that range, you'd have seen a house down that range. You can't see very well because there's too much rubbish on the side now. If you looked down there and seen that house, that's where I was born. They didn't bother going to the hospital with me. I was born in that house, 22nd of July 1920. Yeah. And I went from there. My father was a Bleakley, besides a lot of other things. And when my brother and sister, I was the third in the family, when my brother and sister started school, I was pretty lonely. And quite often my father would go to take a bullock wagon into town, which is 10 mile. I'd walk down the 3 or 4 mile down the road and meet him and come home in the wagon. And at one stage where I was 4-year-old, I conned him into I followed the wagon to Woodford. I walked 10 mile behind the work team to Woodford. So, see, bullocks go very slow, and kids just walk along. Stayed the night and come back next day, and they in the box in the front of the wagon. But he went. My brother and I. This is Graham over here. He's my brother's son. We used to go into the bush with my father and walk around behind the bullocks. I think my mother used to just wanted to get rid of us out of the road, so we spent all our bloody young life running around the bush. Always keen in sport. My father was a very hard man, but he encouraged you to play sport. Cricket was the thing these days, and played cricket, tennis. And we didn't have enough to get a cricket team. We only had a small school, and some of the girls used to have to play with us to make up a team. And they're quite good too. And if you follow cricket today, you see the women's cricket are bloody good. Yeah, they certainly were. Yeah. And I had a bit of trouble at school. I was a bad bastard. I got to get a lot of trouble. But I was good at school. I was at the top of my class, but I could get into trouble all the time. Mainly really fighting. And my brother got sent out to one of my grandfather's property at Delaney's Creek when he was 16, and I was more or less left. My father was big in the council. He spent many years as chairman again, but and I spent I was more or less running the property at home. And we had a big lot of cows, 70, 80 cows, probably 100, a couple of bullocks out the back, and grew bananas up there and that sort of thing. And I wasn't enjoying school. We got a new teacher. She didn't bloody know much. Cried half the time. Only 17 years of age. She used to come to me to ask her how you do this and how you do that, because I was the big boy at school. So I said, "Oh man, it's not much good me going to school anymore. Someone bloody leave." So I left school when I was 13. In work, I never got on too well with my father. He was a bad-tempered man just like me. I took after him. If you'd have known my father, all you done was work. That was all he done was work. We were 2.5 miles from school. To start off, we done riding horses sometimes. But before you went to the school in the morning, You went to the yard, help milk cows, or went up and do something. You went to school, come back, Mum would have a cup of tea for you, back to the yard. That was your life. That was work, 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 work. So that didn't do me any harm. So work never hurt anybody. But we bloody certainly worked. and we worked at my job, and I employed a fair few men over the years. But if they couldn't bloody work, I didn't want them. You know. Timber was in my blood a bit, and I started into timber, and then into the cutting and snigging and logging, and then I got into trucks and things, and after the war, after I come back, I was a truck driver during the war. I was a team in the EMT in the Air Force, and after a while, I didn't get on too well with our man. And we were running the dairy there, and I got into trucks and sort of broke away. And we got into trucks in a big way. And at one stage I had 5 trucks carting logs to a big mill at Belthorpe, carting sawn timber from there to the mill. And we ran trucks over most of Australia. And that's my life. I'm a truckie. The way I joined the Air Force was, well, everybody was going to the RAAF. Just wanted to be it. Let that one be it, yeah. Get away and see the world. I didn't see too bloody much. First posting was 20 months at Cedarton, only over the road, so that never got down south at all, you know, never got into the cities and that. Mostly the bush, all I ever seen. Yeah. But I don't regret it. I enjoyed it. You meet a lot of good people. You meet like some bastards too. But that's life, isn't it? It's good and bad and all sorts. But cricket, football, I enjoyed. What I liked about football is you could, because I was a pretty cranky sort of man, so if somebody you didn't like, you could square up on them pretty easy. I would love to play football against some of those places I played cricket against. There were some smart asses played cricket, you know. I was pretty good at table tennis. I played the amateur champion of Queensland one night at Toowoomba. Unfortunately, it was an army team, and there was a girl there. She beat one of my mates 21-0. I turned around and I beat her 21-0. But the worst part of it is this good champion players. He let me beat him because they were that far ahead. He just let me beat him, and I didn't like that. But he would have probably flogged the arse off me. But anyhow. But you strike some good tennis players, yeah, table tennis players, some real good players. And all my travels, I reckon that's only I could count the ones on one hand that I couldn't beat, you know. So I said I was better than average at most sports, but never a champion. Well, we were actually workers. Ground staff of the Air Forces, the workers now at NADZAB, for start off with NADZAB. We had our headquarters camp. And we had our airstrip about some 3 or 4 mile away. And you get a truckload of blokes every day. And each one of them was just like going to work. See, one had work on the engines, electrical, and then armourers to make sure the plane was right, electricians. They had to check the plane over. That was their job every day, and that's what they done every day. and I was at DMT, and there were some stupid things done. At one stage, I was allocated to go down to the tower and drive the fire truck. So I go down, get in the truck, another bloke, was right down there. I said, what do we do here? And he said, oh, we go up in the tower, he said, we play cards. I said, oh, yeah, that sounds all right. So we're up there sitting around, and down comes the bloody CEO. What's going on here? So down we come to talk to him. And he said, who's in charge here? I said, I don't know. Well, he said, who's captain? Nobody knows. Well, who's driving the truck? Yeah. I didn't even know how to work the fucking thing. How can you... But the engineering officer, how stupid can they be? But when you're young and stupid, you just go with the flow, eh? So I had to learn how to work. I had to learn how to work the fire engine. Yes, thank Christ, no place got on fire while we were there. But that's what we done. It was we were workers, and messaged and other places. You'd be taking messages here and there. You don't know what all these bloody messages are about, but you're taking flights here. I spent me happy time driving between Nedzeb and Lay with things there to us, and this sort of thing, And Morotai, when we went to Morotai, we went there in night time. We couldn't get into the harbour, and we unloaded. We had to climb over the side of the boats, by planes, and down and drop into the boats. And at that stage at Morotai, the Japs at one end of the island and we the other, and no organisation as far as food was concerned. First week we lived on hard rations, no camp. We camped on the bloody grass under the palm trees. Eventually the Yanks fed us, and I don't know whether you probably know a bit about Yank food. I don't know, but it was fucking terrible. It tastes all right for a start off, but everything's that sweet, and it was bloody terrible after a few days. And then when they finally got all our gear in, I had to go into the harbour and start unloading all the gear, trucks and that. And the first bloody night, I finished unloading, I went to go home, and I wasn't sure where my bloody camp was, see? I hadn't been there in the bloody daylight. So I'm driving up there, and I'm trying to find out where it was. And I know so far, and I thought, fucking hell, I know the Japs are up there. So I turned around, I didn't want to go too far. So I came back, and eventually, backwards and forwards, I found me myself back into the camp. But and those are the sort of things that happened, eh? They weren't real smart. Like, I often wonder how we won the wars and some of the fucking stupid things that we done. When we headed, because they bombed the shit out of us at Morotai, because things were getting a bit hot for them. And they didn't want us to go further on. But Morotai is only a small island. While we're loading the boats, the bombs are going off on the other side of the bloody island, but we carried on there, Then we went off as a convoy, and you worry about U-boats and things all that time. And we got to far as Biak, and as a convoy, we anchored outside Biak. But that night they bombed hell out of Biak, because they thought we were there in the harbour, but we weren't there. So we went on then from Labuan, and we had to unload. I was driving a truck then, and you had to come down out of the LSTs and drive down and into the water And the funny part is that the section before us, they done all the trucks up so they could go through water. They didn't fucking do ours, and we went through the water. But those old blitz could go through pretty deep water, you know. And we got out there, and we had an advance party that had gone to the other end of the island, and so we had to get there. And if you probably read about, but see, they didn't follow up. They just left the Japs there. The Japs were full there in the bloody place, you know, and they'd finally catch up and then shoot them here and there, you know. And we had to get from there over to our camp, where our camp was. And I had to drive a truck through there. And I had a bloke sitting beside me with a Tommy gun, because it was supposed to be protecting for me. And then I looked across and the bastards asleep. Nobody worried me. Give him a bit of fucking stir up in here. Because you're snugging along through the bloody bush and then blitz, you know, anything can happen, eh? Anyhow, we finally got there. Finally got to our camp. It was pretty rough here. But they kept shooting Japs all the time and picking them up here and there. Mainly the army was picking them up, you know. Few of them come into our camp and they shot them afterwards. And then we had a stupid bloody thing. We had to do guard duties, and they're putting the guard duties, put them out on singles, eh? And these Japs, half of them were pretty well educated, and they made out there, mates, and they're coming in cutting their bloody guards' throats, you know. And so they went on strike, the guards. Fortunately, I was on duty driver and I wasn't amongst them. But they put 36 blokes out on guard duty. They went on strike. So they arrested them and put them in the cookhouse. So they went and fucking got another lot. And we were on a small unit. Another 36. So the 30 CO comes down, what's fucking going on here? Yeah. They told them what was going on. They said we were not going out on singles, we wanted to go out in pairs. So righto, we went out on pairs, no more trouble. So we went out and done our guard duties on two at a time. But why in the first place would they let you go out in singles? That's how they operated, mate. Somebody up there, they didn't have too many brains. As I say, how often I But we had a lot of fun there. It rained nearly every bloody night up there. The roads would be all mud and boggy, you know. You'd flat out trying to get out of the slips where the cleans were. But, I had to go down one afternoon to pick up the CO. I went out in the Jeep. Just went like a fucking rocket thing. I got booked for fucking speeding, but I didn't know about it. But it went through with the number, see? This particular Jeep. So, you got to find out who owns the Jeep. Oh, shit, this is the CO. Well, who was driving the CO's Jeep? Me. Yeah, I didn't get too much trouble out of that. There are some funny things went on. Like when I was at NADZAB, had the officers, they were all separate to us. And they'd have a big party. The nurses would come over to their party. And the duty driver had to control the lights. We had CBAs to driving these lights, see. And the lights are supposed to go out a certain bloody hour. So I go over, it's only here now, I go over and turn the lights out. Then next thing, somebody's fucking driving it. Want the lights back on. party wanted to go there. So I got to go up and start up with bloody lights to go. But oh well, the officers had good fun with the nurses, I suppose, but because we weren't even allowed to talk to them, even if we go into lay and go into weekends and Sunday, some of the beach. Officers went into the beach and fucking officers and nurses went into the beach. Also around the other end. It was pretty, because that stage, they drifted away fairly quick, you know, and lay at that stage, it come back civil. You could go in there and get a good hot meal at lay, although they're still bloody fighting to 10 miles on the road a bit, you know. It was pretty good. The only time we ever seen officers when we played cricket, it's occasionally one of the officers that played cricket with us. But we lost. Seeing we were low-level flying planes, we lost a lot of pilots. Our CO, we had a CO. Once they get the top blokes, always CO. And one bloke, there's a nice bloke too, and he only lasted 3 weeks. They get shot there. No, it wasn't real good. Daly, I think his name is Daly. Squadron Leader Daly. No, I got very down. And all my mates that I had before the war, they were all gone. I had nobody. No, I was very down. I contemplated joining up again, because when you're with a big mob of men for so long, you know, and you come back to nothing. At that stage, my father was back out at this property we had at Planters Creek, and I went there and was doing a bit of work there, and it was a very lonely life. You know. And eventually, I suppose I got back into cricket and gradually, eventually start to know people, you know, dances and things like that. But it was hard to come back. Hard to come back to it. Civilian life. Well, see, I was always a saver. Unfortunately, my brother was the opposite. He was a spender and I was a saver. And I never spent, I kept my money saved all the time. Didn't draw me pay. I never draw a cent. All the time I was overseas, I never draw $1. And when I come to pay out, and I got paid at Red Bank. And they paid us in cash for everything. And I had nearly $300 odd in money, in pounds in my pocket. So, the game of cricket, me being a cricket fanatic, I went to watch Queensland play New South Wales, and I sat there all bloody day with my hand in my pocket on the 300 quid. Because I'd never seen money like that before. But now, how many of those blokes that day would have gone to the pub and got pissed and lost their money? That was pretty stupid, I thought. I thought that was really stupid, paying out everybody out in cash. I come home, they used to have picnic races here, see? And cousin and I went to the races this day. He had a bad time, Graham. He was in Singapore, and he got out of Singapore. He got into about, I don't know how many boats. He'd get into one and get blown out of it and blown in, but he finally did get home. And he went to these races this day, and they were talking about this. Yeah, it's not about letting the cedar over there. Yeah. So I carried on from there. They didn't like me much. No bastard liked me. My girlfriend was at the bar to keep away from me, you know. I wasn't anywhere near her. So she writes a note. So we eloped. That fucking stirred things up around the place. And we finished it. We got married. We got a no bastard wanted to marry us because she was only 19, no, just over 20, and anyhow, this Presbyterian guy said, "Go to the Scotch." We tried this place now. The Scotchman won't knock back a bog, so we went there. He knows. Then that's when the shit hit the fan, and because her parents objected and set the fucking police on me, and we finished up a court case and all this sort of thing. And that's how stupid people are, you know. And we got to go to court, and of course you get fined a lot of money, but because it must come out of my own. But why would anybody be so stupid, you know? Their own daughter, eh? He was just a fucking idiot, eh? Anyhow, we carried on. Yeah. Anyhow, we got there. She's been gone now. She got dementia, and she's been gone for quite a few years. Which one I wasn't happy about. Her family panicked. Fucking shoved her into a home. I found it. Me cantankerous old bastard. I went and brought her home. I looked after her for 16 weeks. Till she got that bad I couldn't do anymore. Couldn't do anymore. Anyhow, so they finished up. She put it into a home, which I have no objection to. She lived in 2 years before she died. Yeah, we had 3 kids there. 2 girls and a boy. A lot smarter than me they are. Hey. Yeah. They run the town. My kids run the town, Graham. Most of the pack in town anyhow. We built these between us. We built these senior citizen homes down here. And we done all that. We found fucking money. And son-in-law, he cleared up the rubbish. He couldn't take it to the dump, and he brought it out to my paddock, and I burned it and all this sort of thing, and went on. No, they're involved in everything, the girls. Because my old man was a councillor. He was in the council about 30 years. I mean, his father was sort of him. This is something that our families have done all through. We've all done this sort of thing. So hence you got here growing now, even though it's south. And I used to be one stage. I couldn't be home. I never had a night at home. Some nights I'd be at meetings every night of the week. I was ball club, bloody football. You name it. You know, funny stuff I gave the whole lot away. Yeah. And I, unfortunately, I wouldn't let my son do my work. I got him educated and got him a good job. I don't know whether I got him a good job or not, Graham, did I? And I fucking worked hard all my life, and I reckon get him something a bit easier. So he's got a government job. See, there's certain blokes, we still had the First World War blokes run the RSL of those days. And they run that. That was their story, see. But I had other things. I was involved, because I've always been involved with everything and running everything. And that's what I stayed with me. Cricket and tennis and all this sort of thing, and then later years golf. But for the first few years, I stayed into football, straight into football and cricket and tennis. Now I done nothing, mate. I did absolutely bloody nothing as far as helping with the RSL, because they were different people on their own. That was what they're interested in, and I wasn't. I just turned up all that way organised. That's all. A bludger, I was. Sorry about that, Graham. But you knew that anyhow. Who wants to celebrate the stupidest fucking thing they ever done? Send a mob in there, men in there to get murdered. Who wants to celebrate that? I think it's ridiculous. Anzac Day, the way Anzac Day is run, I think it's fucking ridiculous. We should be celebrating something that we won, not something that we bloody lost and flogged. They tell me I'm a cranky old bastard, and I've been that way most of my life. I wouldn't crawl to people. And want to say what I think. I wouldn't crawl to people. And apparently the way to get on is to crawl. That's why I didn't get on. I never crawled to anybody.